Put some sperm up to Uranus. Now that's an accomplishment.
Totally nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. Totally.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids and cadets, to another riveting edition of Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. I'm your host / boyfriend, Scott Ellis. Here, my name is Shmuel. Ugh.
Hi, I'm Scott Honickman, and my Hebrew name is Matzah, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, I'd love to hear it.
So, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday I was leaving my house to get a bite to eat, and this older woman was walking past my house, and she stopped me, and she said, "I haven't seen you since you were this small." And I have no idea who this woman was. I still don't know who this woman was. And she was talking to me for a little bit about how much I've grown, and I don't know, she was just talking. And then she said, "Do you want some matzah?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" She said, "I have a butt ton of matzah in my house. Please come with me. We're going to get some matzah." I don't like matzah at all. I just want to get that out there. I really don't like matzah.
She said, "Please come with me. We're going to get some matzah right now."
That's what she said to me. She said she had been storing matzah like the end of the world was coming, and matzah was the only nutritious food left.
If you're going to lure someone, always go with candy.
I felt like I was getting Israeli catfished, where you get abducted not through candy, but through matzah. So, as I was being abducted by this older woman who I could clearly defend myself from, as we approached her house, I could hear people banging on the inside of the garage door, "Let me out! Let me out! The matzah isn't as good as she said it was.
The matzo ball soup was dry. Please, you gotta get out of here."
So this woman brings me to her house, which is only right down the street from my house. She leads me to her front steps, and she says, "Okay, I'll be right back with the matzah." I wanted to trust her, and I did trust her, but I admittedly felt a little sketched out. So after a few minutes, she comes back, and she gives me this unopened big cardboard box, and inside of it are 5 smaller boxes of matzah. And she said, "Do you want any more?" And I said, "This is plenty." But I digress. Welcome, everybody, to Nonsense News Nation. Here we like to find crazy, ridiculous, nonsensical stories in the news. Brandon and I like to talk about them, and we just have a good time talking about these weird things that happen in this world we live in. So, Brandon, I'd like you now to start with your story.
Well, Scott, I'd love to, but admittedly, you've caught me at a bad time, because right before recording this podcast, I had to lose a few pounds. I was throwing up, Scott.
That's dedication to your job. You still came to work.
Exactly. So at my job, we have different activities, like maybe different science activities, like once a week. And on Sunday, there was a candy activity. I'm getting nauseous just thinking about it. So the kids, They were taught about science through candy for some reason. I don't know if they're teaching the science of diabetes or heart disease. I don't know what they're doing with candy. I just saw a bunch of kids coming out with plates of gumdrops. Out of all the candies, which unless you're a gingerbread man, they're useless. So anyway, I was ordered to clean up the room with all the candy, and the person that taught the event, he goes, "Does anyone want this candy before we throw it out?" And I did my best to do a Negan voice, and I went, "Hell yeah!" because I didn't want the food to go to waste. So unfortunately, there were a lot of gumdrops, but there were some M&Ms. Some M&Ms, Scott, with no wrapping.
No venom?
No venom. So anyway, there was regular M&Ms and pretzel M&Ms, and I snagged a bunch in my bag, and I hightailed out of there.
You quit your job?
And, yes. Well, I clocked out first. I didn't want to get paid for driving away. But anyway, the next day, I had a nice big dinner. But I wanted to treat myself to a nice dessert. Now, I could be typical and get ice cream. I could be healthy and get fruit. But I saw this huge bag of candy that I got. I thought, ooh, M&Ms, yucky gumdrops. So I picked literally every M&M I could find, pretzel and non-pretzel, and I put it in a bowl. I downed that sucker. I was like one of those people at an M&M's commercial, looking at the green M&M with lust. I ate every single M&M. an hour later or 2 hours later, I was feeling very burpy. And I'm not human. I don't really burp like most people. It just doesn't happen for me. But I was doing it like excessively. At that point, I'm just like, screw it. I think I'm going to throw up. And that's what I did. And I threw up a lot. I went through the rest of my day today. Had a turkey burger and tater tots and carrots and some orange juice to wash it down. And then to treat myself, I had some sunflower seeds, a whole bowl of it. Then I threw up. That's my story. Anyway, Scott, I want to give you my story. There's nothing about candy or M&Ms, so I won't throw up. I think about that time we had back in October of 2019 when we saw Joker. I love that movie. I only saw it once, but I loved it. It was a very impactful movie. It had a lot to say. Joaquin Phoenix killed it as the Joker, and it was so good that it's being replicated in other places of the world. It says a politician dressed as the Joker is running for office in Japan. And it's funny, the picture, it shows him like just blankly looking at the camera, not even with a smile, which is, if you're the Joker, you're going to smile for the camera. I don't know why he's not doing that. You have a woman doing sign language in the back, but from the way it's freeze framed, she looks completely constipated. I hope the Joker is doing his best to help that constipated woman behind him. Maybe he could put a smile on her face by giving her some prunes. Okay, so I'll read this. When Yusuke Kawai decided that he was going to run for governor of Chiba Prefecture, east of Tokyo, he clearly set out to make an impression on undecided voters. His campaign strategy is simple. He's decided to dress up as the iconic Batman villain, the Joker. And before you think this guy is just some kind of joke, let me tell you, he has some pretty good policies. Kawai, who is the head of an event planning and temporary employment agency, is running as a candidate of the party of Make All of Chiba a Land of Dreams and Magic. Is that the name of the party?
That sounds like a party in and of itself.
Well, if you're dressed like the Joker, it's a party. Unless you're Murray on the Murray Show. There's a bullet to the head. Okay, so presumably for copyright reasons, he's also not the Joker. He just happens to be a Joker. That's what he says.
So there's just more than one different type of Joker.
The Jokerverse instead of the Spider-Verse. Those policies include renaming the Narita Airport in Chiba as Disney Sky, picking Let It Go from the film Frozen as the prefecture's theme song, outlawing the word trash and replacing it with the word star fragment, building a red tower similar to Tokyo Tower in Tokyo and the prefecture, but calling it Tokyo Tower for reasons that are unclear. Another major part of his agenda seems to be irritating one of his rival candidates, who is known for opposing mask mandates and vaccines and for claiming that COVID-19 is just a cold. Wow. Anyway, Scott, he seems ridiculous. He seems like a clown, like a Joker, but at the same time, he takes the pandemic seriously. So, by default, my vote goes for the Joker.
I mean, look, more importantly, he wants to change the word trash to stardust, was it? Star fragments? In that case, I'm in.
It sounds like he was playing Mario Galaxy before he made his policies. Maybe he's into astrology, I don't know.
I hope he's into astronomy instead of astrology, because I don't...
Oh, my bad. I meant astronomy.
No. Imagine you have a governor or a president or a prime minister who makes all of his decisions and elects all of his party members based on relationships between signs. Like, oh, I can't go through with that decision because the person who wrote that bill is a Pisces.
Anyway, to put it simply, he has my vote. And that's where the story ends.
When is the election? Do you have any idea? When can we vote?
I do not know, Scott.
Well...
You think you have enough time to be a Japanese citizen and vote for him?
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking. Maybe we could obtain citizenship, vote for him, and then come back to America. We'll keep that story in the back of our heads when we consider future episodes of Nonsense News Nation. But for right now, we're going to move on from Brandon's excellent, beautiful, interesting, nonsensical story to the story I found here. So, listen to this headline, Brandon. I always find very bizarre headlines, it seems. Scientists want to send 6.7 million sperm samples to the moon as a quote-unquote global insurance policy. This comes to us from Insider.com, and let's find out why exactly scientists want to take men's semen.
I have a theory,
6.7.
Scott.
Well, I'll explain to you the story, and then we'll see if your theory holds up. So, scientists have suggested that humans could buy into a quote-unquote modern global insurance policy by building a quote ark filled with, like Noah's Ark, filled with 6.7 million sperm samples. The ark would involve shooting the sperm.
It's like Star Wars with sperm.
The Death Star shooting sperm. The ark would involve shooting the sperm and the sperm samples of 6.7 million species up to the moon. So this is not just humans. So this is literally like Noah's Ark. There's going to be so much intermingling between species. You know what I mean? It's going to be one true...
Sounds like a crazy time at the Bronx Zoo.
This kind of makes me think about what's going to happen when the pandemic ends. People are going to start going crazy and having sexual relations with anything they see. Because they haven't seen anything.
Animal they see.
It doesn't matter because they've been inside this whole time. It's like when they'd say sailors in the 15 and 1600s would be on year-long voyages and they'd just have sex with barrels that they find on the ship and cut holes in the barrels. Anyway, the samples would then be stored in a vault beneath the surface of the moon, and they'd call it a lunar pit and make sure it's secure. A team of 6 researchers from the University of Arizona presented this idea, which is their idea, to the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers Aerospace Conference, where they said that their proposal would help protect mankind from extinction. And they go on to say that this would help prevent an extinction. Basically, these researchers from the University of Arizona are saying, we want to take all these sperm samples, store them on a different planet, in case something happens on Earth that wipes out a lot of people or a lot of animals. Was that what your theory was, Brandon?
My theory is that they're going to impregnate the moon, and the moon's going to have a baby. It's going to be another moon. So now we could have 2 moons.
Why would we need a second moon, though?
I don't know.
They wanted to shoot a sequel to Transformers 3 Dark Side of the Moon on that moon.
But it's the best Pink Floyd album, Dark Side of the Moon, which is now going to be outdated if there's a second moon.
Let's find out about this coming-of-age story. That was a little pun.
When they shoot the sperm out to the moon on a rocket ship or something, is it going to be streamed on Pornhub or X videos?
The title's going to be 2 giants dominate each other, something like that. One giant dominates the other. It's just
going to be a video sending it to the moon.
It's literally going to be a penis because it's filled with sperm. Maybe they'll have to add... Brandon, do you think there are so many sperm samples that when they send the rocket to the moon, do you think they're going to have to add 2 small circular pouches to hold all the sperm at the end of the rocket?
Yes, I think that's logically what's going to happen.
Let me read a little bit more into this story here. Earth is a naturally volatile environment, said study author Jekin. Oh my god, I can't pronounce that last name. That last name is crazy. Thangave Latham. Jekin Thangave Lotham is the... I have to start over. Earth is naturally a volatile environment, said study author Jekin TH last name, in this presentation on the paper titled Lunar Pits and Lava Tubes for a Modern Ark, adding that an Earth-based repository of samples would still leave specimens vulnerable to getting destroyed in a massive disaster. So they chose the moon because obviously if there's a nuclear war or a volcanic eruption or an asteroid, potentially some sperm could die in that too. While this might seem like a suggestion straight out of science fiction, the scientists behind this proposal have calculated that sending the cryogenically frozen samples of sperm, also they're going to send eggs and spores and seeds, like some seeds from trees and plants, of some 6.7 million species. This might be a well-feasible operation. To prevent the samples from freezing or welding together in the sub-zero temperatures beneath the surface of the moon, the scientists also suggest the facility to be powered by solar panels. So, this isn't as simple, Brandon, as digging a big hole on the moon and implanting your seed in there. and covering it up. No, you have to make sure these don't freeze.
I'd love to donate mine to the moon. Every animal and being and tree sends their sperm to the moon. It won't be so special anymore.
There's no sense in bragging about it. That you can't. Everyone's done it.
Put some sperm up to Uranus. Now that's an accomplishment.
It's very far away from where the sperm comes from. So to go all the way there would be really a feat.
Can you imagine sending it to Pluto, the dwarf planet? Take that much sperm.
That'd be pedophilia. It's
small.
It's so small.
It'd be like doing it with Peter Dinklage. That's not pedophilia.
Oh, that's something else I wanted to talk about briefly. I watched this movie on Netflix with Peter Dinklage in it called I Care a Lot. Basically, Peter Dinklage plays a mafia boss, and it's hilarious because there are many scenes in the movie where he has a bunch of bodyguards and personal drivers that drive him around to places, and they're all huge guys. And they get, like, whenever they go somewhere, they stop the Suburban, and they open the door for Peter Dinklage. And, you know, in the first scene, you expect some massive mob boss who's strong to just walk out of the car and be really intimidating, but out comes Peter Dinklage in a tiny little suit.
You've seen Game of Thrones. Him as Lord Tyrion. He's amazing. What if he grows like he did in Infinity War when he's Eitri the dwarf?
In Game of Thrones, he's only intimidating because of the things he knows. He's not a fighter.
Anyway, we're gonna leave it at that. It's been an honor talking about nonsense with you, Scott.
Every week, it seems like the stories get more bizarre,
and I'd love to keep it up. But until then, we gotta check out. So if you want to hear more from us, I sure hope you do. We are on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. I feel the urge to throw up a little bit, but I'm gonna try to fight it. We have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We post every now and then. We have a website, nonsensnewsnation.com. That's nonsensnewsnation.com. If you want to contact us personally and give us your theories of how you could send your own semen to the moon, you can contact us at nonsensnewsradio@gmail.com. That is nonsensnewsradio@gmail.com. Once again, I've been Brandon Barfing Ellis.
I've been Scott Phantasm, sometimes Honickman, sometimes Phantasm, and we are signing out. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.